Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a speed build based off of Pink Diamond's Garden from Steven Universe. Now I haven't posted a speed build of a Minecraft build in a while, and I really wanted to do this build because I was a huge Steven Universe fan growing up, but I actually never watched the movie, so in order to get inspiration for this build, I had to Google a lot of images, and I also kind of loosely based it off of the one music video from the movie where it's Spinel and Steven walking through the garden. And this build isn't going to be 100% accurate to the movie. I saw this one fan art that I really liked. I'll be putting up here on the screen for a little bit, and I'll be linking the original creator in the description box. But they created this fan art of what the movie version of it would look like if it was like nice and lush, and I really like that drawing, so it's mostly based off of that one fan art, and then everything else is kind of loosely based off of screen caps from the movie, and everything else is just basically up to my interpretation. So here basically I'm creating like the huge pillars that you see in the movie where Rose and Spinel are walking through the garden. And I was actually really struggling with this because I was trying to use World Edit in order to copy and paste these large pillars. And beforehand, I actually wasn't really familiar with World Edit. I kind of knew some basic commands, but I think this was where I was really starting to struggle with trying to copy and paste these pillars and make sure they were all symmetric. And obviously not everything is going to be to scale. I wanted to make it a little bit larger than it would have been, and some of the proportions may be off, and you will probably see this later on in the video. But right now we're just creating these large flower boxes that you see in the fan art. And so we did blue, we did red, and then now we're doing yellow right here. And then actually I'm not sure if this is in the movie, but in the video there was kind of like these like little water areas, so I wanted to kind of create one right here right in the middle. So I mostly just used some bone meal to make like the kelp, and then adding some rocks. And then also in the movies you see like these large triangular like shapes. I'm assuming they're flowers, so I thought it'd be really cool to make them out of netherwort here. And then I also tried to like copy and paste these like triangle shapes, but it was kind of difficult, so I just figured that I would just do it all by hand. It actually wasn't that difficult at all. It was kind of easy to figure out, and I think later on in the video I figure out how to make sure the mobs stop spawning. But for like the majority of like this first part, you'll just see cows and bats everywhere because I'm not really familiar with Minecraft game rules, and I didn't know that you could stop them from spawning until later on in the video. So yeah, I'm just making like these large like flower structures in between each and every one of these flower areas. I thought they looked really cool and neat, and true to the movie. And I also added this little area next to the fountain you see, and I'm not very good at making fountains. I think this is like my first attempt at making a fountain, so there's no like flowing water because I have no idea how to do that. But right here I actually end up getting rid of the mushroom blocks, and then I forgot to hit record on some parts, so you'll see one area done, and then I kind of do that later on in the video where I'll forget to press record, so some areas are already done, but luckily you don't really miss much. And right here I'll put another screen cap in the movie, is where Pink Diamond and Spinel are talking to Blue Diamond and Yellow Diamond. And so I created like kind of like these 4 crystal areas, and I wasn't sure how to make like the whole like hologram screen, so I just used these frog lights, and I thought I would add a bridge over the water area. I thought it would look really cute. Obviously not really sure if it's true to the movie, but I thought it'd be a nice little touch to add. And then here I'm kind of like moving the area off to be centered because I'm really bad at proportions and making sure everything's aligned with each other. So you can see me struggling with World Edit right there. And then I'm gonna have to like redo everything. But I like to add these pearlescent frog lights to kind of give it more texture. And I also use different blocks like the pink glaze terracotta, so it doesn't look too one-dimensional with the pink concrete. And I think later on in the video I will show you guys what it looks like without my texture pack, because obviously vanilla Minecraft looks very different when it comes with the texture pack that I'm using. And then right here, I'm finally starting to work on the huge kind of like temple area. I'm not sure what to call it, kind of like a pyramid that you see in the movie where not Pink Diamond, where Spinel and Steven first arrive in. And this is kind of where I messed up with the proportioning. You'll see later on that it's kind of slightly off. It's not really even, but you know, it's my first huge speed build. And I was kind of dreading making this part because I was so nervous that I wasn't going to make it look nice. But it ended up looking like decent towards the end. So I'm trying to kind of make it look similar to the movie. I'm like basing it off of like screen caps I see in the movie to make sure like it looks somewhat correct. So I thought it'd be cute to make like the edges of the pyramid kind of like the pink glazed terracotta and not just fully the pink concrete. And then for the stairs I used the red crimson warts, and then I thought it would be cute to kind of like make like a little diamond shaped form with the little frog lights. And then here I'm just filling in everything else with the pink concrete. And I think for most of this part I used world edit because usually, luckily, I can just fill it in with one simple command and I can save a lot of time. But over here, it's kind of hard when it's like layered and stacked on top of each other. I tried to use world edit and you can see it turn into a huge block. So I was like, you know what? Let me just do it by hand. It's going to be easier that way. And this is where I haven't used the command to stop spawning. So you might see it like sometime in this video, you'll see like lanterns or lights coming from inside of the pyramid. And that's because I didn't want the bats to start spawning. And then here you can see where I really did mess up with the portioning. I'm like trying to figure out why I can't make it even. And then that's when I realized I messed up earlier on making the pyramid and how it's not completely even. But I was like, you know what? It's fine. Let's just go ahead and finish it. I do not want to destroy the whole pyramid. That would be way too much work. So let's just keep going with it. And I actually really liked creating this little diamond block and creating the beacons because it's kind of like similar to the movie where they first like spawn in and they come into the garden. I thought it was really nice. And then I'll also put a picture of what the pyramid usually looks like. They have like flowers or like kind of like bushes at the top of these like little pillars. But I thought the end crystals would look a whole lot neater and like more cool than the little bushes. And this is kind of like my first attempt at making a little baby custom tree, and I'm not very good at making custom trees. I actually tried to make one beforehand before I made that one, and then I ended up deleting the footage because it was just so ugly. And then when you look at the whole garden, you'll see that it's like surrounded by these little like areas of water slash like garden areas. So I wanted to do something similar to that. I wanted to make like water areas and like little patches of like flowers surrounding the whole garden. And you can see me doing this here. I'm just like making like little fun shapes that I thought would look really cool to look at. And I would fill it with water. I would add my, you know, my bone meal to make the grass. And I thought it'd be really cute to add like this coral kind of like floating. So I would place trapdoors in order for them to keep the coral from dying out. And I would just like make whatever shape I thought would look really neat. And obviously they're not going to be the same size because I couldn't like figure out how to use world edit for that, but they're mostly similar in size. They're not too big, not too small. You can see me placing the coral. I thought it'd be really neat to add like moss to the outer edges and add these flowers for a nice contrast. And right here is kind of like my first attempt at making another small garden area. This is actually my favorite. I really liked how the color palette came out. So I used azalea leaves on the outer edges, and I used the peonies and the pitcher plants. And I thought it would look really cute to make like these little dirt paths to break it up even more. And then I used daisies, the crimson mushrooms, the nether warped fungus, and then I think alliums, and I thought it looked really cute. It came out really nice. And then you see me going back and forth. I don't know why. I really like to go back and forth in my builds. I'll go to one area and then I'll go back to the other side. I'm not really sure why I like doing that, but you know, it keeps my brain busy, so it's completely fine. I also stream some of this process up on my Twitch and on TikTok too. So if you ever want to see me go live and see like what comes to my mind when I make these builds, feel free to follow me on my Twitch and my TikTok. The links will be in my bio. And then for this video, I really wanted to use the acacia, not acacia leaves. Yeah, the acacia leaves. I'm sorry, I was getting confused with the azalea leaves, but I thought the acacia leaves look really nice in this resource pack, and the resource pack I'm using is actually Mizuno 16 craft. The link for that will also be in the description below. And so in the movie, it looks like there's like a palm tree, and so this is kind of like my attempt at making a palm tree, although, you know, obviously it doesn't look that nice right now, as you can see, but in the future, I'm sure I will learn how to make proper trees for you guys. I'm sorry, you know, we all start somewhere, you know. It ended up looking kind of decent towards the end though, so I was like, you know what, it'll work out for now. It'll be something. And I'm just kind of fill up this empty space here. I'm making another custom tree. Right here I used the crimson wart for the logs, and I used cherry blossom leaves for the, you know, the leaves, and it turned out really cute. I thought it was really nice. But my original plan for this build was to make it in a separate like world and kind of like use the quartz blocks here to try and figure out how big I wanted the area to be, but then I realized it probably would take way too long to figure out the exact dimensions for that, so I just made a whole new world, and I made the base layer of the quartz blocks, so that way I didn't need to worry about how many quartz blocks I needed. And then right here I'm making another custom tree just to kind of like fill out the area. It was looking very like bland and bare, so I thought it'd be really cute to kind of just add like extra areas around. I'm not sure if it would be very accurate, but I thought it would look nice. And then right here I redid the first area that I did before because it was a little bit too small and too narrow, so I was like, okay, let me just redo it. It didn't take too long. I just needed to cover it up and make a new area. So you can see I repeat the same process. I add the coral, I add the moss everywhere on the outer edges to make it look nicer. And then over here we're adding another area. I kind of like went back and forth between the water and the garden area because I didn't want it to be too one-dimensional of the same thing, so I was like, let me just break it up to make it a little bit different. And here it's kind of more of a mushroom area, so I added the mycelium, I added some moss, of course azalea leaves. Those are my favorite ever. They're the cutest leaves in my opinion, I would say. And then you can see me going back and forth. Here I'm making the next area. I believe this one is water. Actually, I'm not too sure. Oh, it's not. Oh, I remember. So I kind of like made it a little river going through the grass area. I thought it'd be a nice change of pace instead of having purely water and then purely the grass. And then for that split second, you can see me kind of struggling to use the brush tool. I was wondering why it kept breaking, but then I realized flowers don't actually count as a block, so they would replace the blocks instead of like going on top of the blocks, if that makes sense. So I was like kind of confused on the world edit aspect of that, but eventually I figured it out. And then here I'm just adding cherry blossom leaves and normal leaves on the outer edge once again. And then I'm trying to figure out how I want to angle this next area, because kind of going diagonal on Minecraft can be a little confusing because it doesn't really turn out the way you want it to. So this is kind of like a cute little build shape that I wanted to do. It's a little different from the other ones I did. I just kind of like extended it out by like one more block. So again, repeating my process with the coral, adding some moss there. And then I also liked adding the glow lichen. I know glow lichen looks very different in this resource pack compared to vanilla Minecraft, because the first time I saw the lichen in like vanilla Minecraft, I was shocked because I was like, why is it kind of like gray and a weird color? But in the Mizuno's pack, it's like really nice and glowy, like a nice green color. So right here again, we're doing a little grassy area. This is kind of like a weird shape, I would say, because if you look at it from like a certain angle, it looks really funky. And then here I'm again using the grass, the dirt paths, my bad, to kind of break up the area and give it like a nice looking texture. And I kind of wanted to make it like a nice cute blue area, so I used the lilacs, I used blue orchids, I used the cornflower to give it a nice color. And then I think on this next one I used mainly moss. It's either this one or a different one. I believe it's a different one, but I think later on in the video I decided to use completely moss instead of grass blocks to make it look really cool. And I think this one is going to be water. This one was a really cool like shape to do. It kind of reminded me of like a diamond almost, kind of like a gemstone build. So again, I repeat the same process. I mostly use like the pinks and the purple corals because obviously this is Pink Diamond's garden. So I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more pinky, of a pinkish hue. And then I think right here, at first I made it a little bit too skinny. I don't know what was going through my head. I'm really bad at like portion sizes and like how to make stuff big. But right here, I just filled the whole area with moss instead of the usual grass blocks. And I thought it'd be really cool to kind of make it like a gradient. So I used the pink petals. So at first I would do like 4 petals, and then I would do 3 petals, and then 2 and 1 to make it a nice gradient. And I think it actually came out really nice. I might have to use it in like a separate build of mine for when I do gradients. And I just added like a little bit of the extra cherry blossoms leaves right there. And then right here, I didn't notice it much in the film, but I noticed it kind of in the fan art where it's like the whole garden is like sectioned off by this huge, like, I guess like not really mossy blocks, but like kind of like a grass hedge almost. So I thought I would do that, but I would use moss instead because I feel like if I use leaves, it would look a little too weird. So I ended up using moss, and it's not exactly like even on each side. I was kind of struggling for this part because I wasn't sure how long I should make it. And when I was kind of going in this diagonal area, I was using World Edit to copy and place, and World Edit is very finicky. You have to be in a very specific spot for it to be where you want it to go. You can't just like look at a block and then do paste because it's not ever going to be on the same place you want it to go to, sadly. And then I realized I had to like extend the wall out a little bit more or else it would hit the water. So I was like, okay, let me just extend it by a little bit more. I'll figure out where it needs to go, and then I will, you know, section off. So you can see me right there trying to see how far I need to extend it to. And then I end up closing it out right there. And then I kind of do like a quick look around to see what else I should add. And then I end up adding like a cute little garden area here. It's kind of like similar to what I see in the movie. It's like kind of like a layered. I ended up using World Edit a little bit to add the grass area, and then I used different warp blocks and flowers to give it like a cool textured and layered feel, kind of like almost extraterrestrial because they are technically aliens, the gems. So I thought it ended up looking cute, and that is the final build. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will show you what it looks like with the texture pack and vanilla right now. If you guys liked the video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you all again in the next build. Thank you everyone, and goodbye.